Welcome back to Old School Sports and our OOTP 23 playthrough of the Kansas City Royals. We are heading into the final 2 months of the 2037 regular season. Solid year from the Royals. 5 games up on the Twins in the AL Central. Have the best record in the American League at this point. So even in life after Bobby Witt Jr., things are going pretty well for the Royals. Did experience 2 pretty significant injuries earlier this year. Lost our former Cy Young Award winner Ben Borgman for the season with a torn UCL. You can see he's still out for another 12 months. And then lost the other Cy Young Award winner on our staff who we picked up last offseason, Kumar Rocker, to a torn rotator cuff. Both of those players were in the final years of their contract. Borgman, I think, in the final year of a 6-year deal that we had signed with him a while back. And then Kumar Rocker, we had just signed to a 1-year deal this year. We weren't really expecting them to be top of the rotation starters for us this year, even though they, as I mentioned, are both former Cy Young Award winners. So the loss hasn't been crippling to the team. We did recently add Christian Hernandez at the trade deadline, and hopefully he'll be making his first start for us soon. He is a guy. Our manager has him slotted in as our number 3 starter right now. Honestly, I think he's probably the number 4 or the 5 if I was going to be putting the rotation together, but we'll let Bobby Crosby do what he's going to do. But that gives us another at least proven major league arm to hopefully get us through these last couple months of the regular season, hang on to first place in the Central, hang on to the best record in the American League, as we try to pursue a 4th title in a row. Before the trade deadline, we also added Yisriel Bernay, who is more than a guy, we hope. Over the course of his career, he has been a pretty solid pitcher if you look at his FIP minus, but admittedly a pretty average pitcher if you look at his ERA plus, but certainly has plus stuff, very good movement, excellent control, brilliant fastball, solid forkball, and then a couple other pitches. I think that as a ground ball pitcher, he should be pretty effective for us in Kansas City. So also looking forward to seeing what he can do to hopefully help our bullpen out as we make a push for the playoffs over these last couple months of the season. And the other big thing that I did forget to mention at the start of the episode, in addition to the team goals, Alex Vasquez is trying to pursue a triple crown. You can see he's second in the AL in batting right now, 12 points behind Ramon Morales of Cleveland. He's leading the league in home runs, 2 ahead of Trey Sweeney and 7 ahead of teammate Jonathan Ojeda. And he's second in the league in runs batted in right now, but 7 behind Luis Baez of the Red Sox. So it's going to be a long shot for him to get it, certainly, even though as I'm taping this or recording this more accurately, Aaron Judge is still in the mix for the American League Triple Crown this year, but he's kind of falling back a little bit in terms of batting average. But he's ahead of where Vasquez is because Vasquez is only leading the league in home runs right now, and his lead there is certainly not insurmountable. But excellent year for Alex Vasquez. Going to be tough for him to win an MVP award. You can see he's not even one of the top 3 players in the American League in batter war, simply because he is a corner outfielder and he's not a particularly excellent defensive corner outfield. In fact, he's below average defensively at the right field and left field. And, if anything, he hurts himself a little bit probably in terms of his WAR by not being great defensively and also not playing all that of important of a defensive position. But we'll see what he can do with the bat over these last couple months of the season also. And although, except for the big injuries to Borgman and Rocker, we've been pretty lucky with injuries so far this year. That may be changing. Willie Flores, day-to-day for the next couple days with a sore elbow, but he's also now day-to-day for the next 3 weeks with a sprained knee. That's got a moderate impact on his running. The elbow has a moderate impact on his throwing. Given that he's already fragile, he's dealing with a couple of injuries now. We are going to send him to the injured list. Alex Simmons, our excellent rookie reliever, you can see has put up a 2.81 ERA with 43 strikeouts in 32 innings. Also injured, diagnosis pending on him. Hopefully it's not that serious. And I did miss this email from a couple weeks ago. Alex Vasquez, who you may remember, we picked in the second round. He was an impossible signing, said he needed well in excess of $8.5 million to sign with us. We offered him $11.25 million since we had a lot of excess money in the budget this year. And he signed with us. So you may remember he is a pretty solid pitching prospect. And he also looks like he could be a pretty interesting hitter for us. So we're very happy to have him sitting there in the second round, and even happier now that we've got him signed. And we're also pleased that you can see that at this point we've depleted most of the money that we had as a resource this year. So even though it all didn't go into the major league team, and some of it went into a very overpriced bonus for a second round pick, we at least spent that money on something that hopefully will pay dividends for the Royals several years down the line. And another week in the books, and Alex Vasquez just won the American League Player of the Month award, Player of the Week award, hitting 480 with 4 home runs, 11 ribbies, and 9 runs scored. And that brilliant week now has him actually with the Triple Crown if the season were to end today. 337 batting average is up by 11 points on rookie teammate Jorge Lebron, who's having a really nice year. 326 average, 13 homers, and 54 runs driven in. He's now up 8 on Trey Sweeney of the Yankees in home runs with 46 following that incredible week. And RBIs is going to be the battle, but he's switched it on Baez just over these first 2.5 or 3.5 weeks of August, and now has a 3-run batted in lead over Baez of the Red Sox. So if the season were to end today here on October 24th, we would have a Triple Crown winner, and you can see that burst of offense has pushed Vasquez up to second in the American League in batter WAR, continues to easily run away with the best OPS in the league. And Eddie Chavera and Caleb Lagerwell remain 1 and 3 in the American League in earned run average. So we are now 9.5 up on the White Sox. The Twins have fallen into a tie with them for second after going 3 and 7 over their last 10. We've been 8 and 2. And the only team we're looking up at in the standings in all of baseball now is the Diamondbacks, who have had an excellent season. You can see a .644 winning percentage, so they are still, looks like 3.5 games up on us in the standings. So going to be tough for us to finish with the best record in baseball. But at this point, we are up not just 9.5 games on the White Sox and Twins for the division, but 9.5 games on the White Sox and the Twins for the best record in the American League. So at the very least, hopefully we finish with home field advantage for as long as throughout the American League playoffs, and then we'll take our chances on potentially facing the Diamondbacks if we're fortunate enough to get to a World Series. And the calendar has turned to September. Alex Vasquez now has won Player of the Month for August, 337, 13 homers, 32 ribbies, and 27 runs scored in 26 games. So a brilliant month for him. And Santiago Suarez, our closer, the pitcher of the month in the AL, 13 appearances, 7 saves, 22 strikeouts in 13 2/3 innings. 3-1 record added up to a 1.98 ERA. So the 2 big awards for the month of August go to Royals, and you can see we actually won Hitter of the Month in AAA with David Powell, and Pitcher of the Month in AAA with Chris Rutledge, who was someone we had sent down when we made those 2 trades at the end of the right before the trade deadline. So Rutledge very well may be coming back for us. And a lot of other awards you can see in AA, Danny Echevarria, the Pitcher of the Month in August, And the number one batter down in the Arizona Complex League is Alex Fonseca, 22-year-old, who's at this point not really a big-time prospect, but certainly with the 419 batting average that he put up this year is should be ready for single A next year, that's for sure. And taking a look at the standings, Royals continue to play well. 10.5 game lead on the Twins now. By far the best record in the American League, and we actually have now passed by percentage points the Diamondbacks for the best record in baseball. Alex Vasquez, still here on September 1st, would have the Triple Crown if the season ended today. Up 2 ribbies on Luis Baez, up 3 points on Ramon Morales for the batting title, and he's plus 10 with the home runs, so it would definitely be a big surprise if he didn't at the very least lead the American League in home runs this season. So with it being September 1st, we have made a couple call-ups. Before announcing that, just take a look at our trade acquisitions right before the trade deadline. Christian Hernandez is 3-0 for us. Does have a 4.76 ERA in 34 innings pitched, so he certainly hasn't been brilliant, but has certainly done a solid, respectable job for us as a pitcher. And Yisriel Burnett, actually kind of similar. 4.72 ERA over 13 1/3 innings pitched, 0-1 record. We're definitely hoping that he would be more effective than this. You can see he has put up half a win in terms of WAR. His Sierra is a lot better than the earned run average he's put up. 395 batting average on balls in play. Hopefully that will come down over the last month of the season. And we did bring Chris Rutledge back up, who you may remember we sent down when we made the trade for Christian Hernandez. But Rutledge is now back up, gives us another left-handed arm out of the pen. And on our roster, Bobby Cintrone going to finally make his major league debut. He did have some injuries this year, so unfortunately that kept us from getting him completely developed. Still could be a little better. You can see it first, second, third, and short. But he's as competent as he's ever going to be at the 3 outfield positions. And even though he was banged up, had a brilliant year in AAA, 326 batting average, 24 doubles, 22 home runs, 16 stolen bases. Not that efficient on the base paths, despite his decent speed, but put up a 158 OPS plus, 161 WRC plus. You can see he turned 25 not too long ago, so he's another older player for being a rookie. He was our international free agent signing 8 years ago at this point, but probably up in the majors for good now. So we're going to have to likely make another move next offseason to clear a spot on the roster for him. We've got a lot of good corner outfielders. I probably would be leaning towards Victor Avelar potentially being the person that we're going to move on from this offseason, but we will focus on those off-season decisions when we get to the off-season. Right now, although Cintrone isn't going to be in the lineup on a regular basis, hopefully he'll get a few at-bats down the stretch here, and we will see if we can hang on and win the AL Central, hang on to the best record in the AL and the best record in baseball, and also see if Mr. Alex Vasquez can hold on to the Triple Crown over these last 3.5 weeks of the season. And our big goal over these last 2.5 weeks of the season is going to be just remaining healthy, even more so compared to those goals I mentioned beforehand. Angelo Velasquez banged up for a couple days with back tightness. Willie Flores, who just came off the IL literally a couple days ago, strained hammy for 2 weeks, going to have a moderate impact on his running. And we're also waiting to hear about a potential injury from Erigeto Laziosi. So both our starting second baseman and third baseman potentially banged up right now. Good that we've got Dave Urquiza, who was one of the guys we traded for last offseason. You can see he started 65 games for us, despite the fact that he's really intended to be a backup, but we knew that with Flores and Laziosi, someone was going to be getting banged up. He's been respectable for us, 260 batting average, 16 doubles, 6 homers, but pretty versatile defensively, a respectable batting profile. So certainly happy to have him around, and he's going to be getting some more playing time because we're not going to mess around with Flores and the hamstring. We are going to put him right on the 10-day IL, and that will enable us to put Billy Dominguez, who we waived and DFA'd, to bring Flores off of the IL 4 days ago, I guess it was. Put Dominguez back onto the 28-man roster here. Presumably that will mean that Urquiza will go back into the starting lineup unless our manager wants to put Cintrone in. Looks like he's putting Urquiza in. But I wouldn't mind getting a little playing time from Bobby Cintrone. I'm just going to see if we set his position, if we set his game strategy. Actually, let's see if we can do it the easy way, and then we'll do it the hard way. If we set his position to third base, what will Bobby Crosby do? He'll start Cintrone, so we don't even need to force start him. So we'll give Cintrone against right-handers a little bit of playing time as our third baseman. Urquiza will still be the guy against lefties, so they'll both get a little more playing time here over the next couple of weeks while Flores is out. And then we'll wait to see what happens with Laziosi, because if he's out, it's going to mean more playing time for probably Urquiza and Cintrone, in addition to possibly Rich Alvarado and Billy Dominguez. So if he is hurt, just hope that it's not a long-term issue. And another week in the books here on Monday, September 7th, and we have clinched the postseason, even though we did lose yesterday. Taking a look at the AL Central, only up 8.5 on the Twins right now. And they still have the second best record in the American League, so we're up 8.5 on them for the best record in the AL. And we are actually now in a flat-footed tie with the Diamondbacks for the best record in baseball. You can see Vasquez in his pursuit of the Triple Crown, 322 batting average, is now third in the AL, 8 points behind Ramon Morales and Tony Lisenby. Still leads the American League easily in home runs by 10 over Jonathan Ojeda, although Vasquez hasn't hit any this week, and has a 2 lead in runs batted in, 117 to 115 over Luis Baez. So need to get some base hits, need to drive in some runs, a little less important for the home runs if we're just going for the Triple Crown. You can see his batter WAR has actually dipped a little bit since the start of the month, so hasn't been hitting quite as much over the last few days. Hopefully he'll break out of that over the next week or so. You can see, looking at the schedule, we've got about 2.5 weeks left of games, only one off day next Monday, a week from today. Very well could have the American League Central clinched by then, which would be great. Positively haven't heard anything about Laziosi being hurt, so I'll take that as I was going to take it as good news, but we're still just waiting on this diagnosis. So the fact that it's taken so long for that diagnosis is probably not a positive thing, unfortunately, but we'll find out shortly, I'm sure. And Laziosi, torn hammy, out for 7 weeks. So if we make a long playoff run, there is a chance we'll have him back, but certainly his regular season is over. Taking a look at what Arrieta did this year, he was actually healthy pretty much all year. Most of that playing time that we talked about that Dave Urquiza was able to get was really because Willie Flores had a few stints on the injured list this season. 131 games played for Lazio. I think he had 1 year with more than that. Yeah, he played 130, actually 1 year where he started more than that. He started 132 games in 2034. 131 games this year, all starts. Hit 290, 36 doubles, 7 home runs. You can see a 116 OPS plus, 118 WRC plus, 3.7 WAR, tied with last season for his career high. So a very effective season for Laziosi, who is a pretty solid defensive second baseman and third baseman. Definitely a bummer that he is going to be gone for the rest of the season and certainly the first round or two of the playoffs. You can also see his injury proneness is now down to wrecked from fragile at only 28 years old. He's got one more arbitration year left. He's one of the guys we haven't signed to a long-term contract. Given that he's wrecked physically, that may prove to be a fortuitous decision for us. Definitely means more playing time for Urquiza, and definitely makes us feel good that we've got Bobby Cintrone up also. We're actually going to I don't know if I want to make him. I mean, he's not really an optimal second baseman, third baseman, or shortstop, that, as you can see by his ratings. We're actually going to set his position to second base, though, for the time being. And we've obviously got to bring up another bat to replace Laziosi. Flores, hopefully we'll be back in a week and a half, 2 weeks. So should have him for the playoffs, just being extra cautious with him. So hopefully between Flores, Urquiza, Billy Dominguez, Bobby Cintrone, Rich Alvarado, we've got enough people who can potentially play second or third base for us in the playoffs that the loss of Laziosi won't be crippling to our team. And we're going to bring David Powell up to the majors. He's a guy that we picked up in a trade with St. Louis about a year and a half ago, close to 2 years ago at this point. He did play in the majors for them. He's been in AAA for us both of the last 2 years. You can see he hit .338 this year with 41 doubles, 11 home runs. Does not really have a spot on our team given that he's not that good defensively. And we've got the all-world Jonathan Ojeda at first base. But as we talked about at the beginning of the episode, or I guess, a little bit into the episode, he won Player of the Month down in AAA for August. So we will give him a reward and put him onto the Major League team now for the last couple weeks of the season. Taking a look at the lineup now. Bobby Cintrone going to be playing second base and leading off against righties, and playing second base and leading off, batting second against lefties. So Cintrone's going to get some at bats. So I guess that's the one benefit of Laziosi being banged up. We'll get to see a little more of what Bobby Cintrone can do at the major league level, and get him some regular playing time to hopefully continue to see exactly what we have with him. It looks like he's completely developed according to what our scout thinks. The OSA still sees room for him to improve his eye a little bit, but our scout kind of already has him at that level. But should not be extremely high-stress games at this point. Obviously, you don't really want a player learning how to play second base at the major league level. But given that we've got a 9-game lead in the division, I think we can probably get away with it. Checking in on Vasquez here, you can see he's dropped out of the top 3 now in batting average, but his batting average for the year is .323, so he's still only 7 points behind the leaders. 9 home run lead on Ojeda, and a 3-run batted in lead on Luis Baez, as Alex Vasquez tries for a triple crown here in 2037. And I'm glad we were conservative with Willie Flores and put him right on the IL. Still suffering from that strained hammy. His return is uncertain. Still got about a week and a half in the regular season, so time for him to get healthy. Taking a look at the standings here on Sunday the 13th, we're up 10 games. Still tied with the Diamondbacks in a flat-footed tie for the best record in baseball. But our magic number's down to 1. So once we clinch the division, that will also mean that we'll have clinched home field advantage for the American League at least, which is positive. Vasquez still has a lead of 9 home runs. He's now tied for runs batted in. and batting average down to 319. So he's now 11 points behind Tony Lisenby of Baltimore in the race for the batting title and a potential Triple Crown. Nine games left in the season now, about to begin a 3-game series against the Twins. So if we win a game, we've got the best record in baseball or the best record in the American League and the AL Central clinched if we can beat the Twins one of the next 3 games. We are a game behind the Diamondbacks now after losing in our last. Alex Vasquez now 4 runs batted in behind Luis Baez and has a .320 batting average, so he's 10 points off of the batting title. So he definitely has some work to do over these last 9 games of the year to potentially get back to having that Triple Crown. I guess he never really had it, although he has had the lead at various points throughout the season in all 3 categories. Doesn't matter unless you have the lead in all 3 categories after 162 games. So we are going to go game by game and see what he does here as we're pushing not just to clinch the AL Central, but also see if Alex Vasquez can have some big offensive performances over this last week plus of the season and potentially win a Triple Crown. So ready to play against the Twins. We'll finish today. Hey, 1,500 career wins, so that means we got the division with the 8-5 win. 1,500 career wins as we're nearing the end of the 16th season, so averaging well over 90 wins a year with these Royals. Let's see what Vasquez did. 2 for 5, 2 runs scored and a run batted in. No home runs, but that's not the most important thing. So the 2 for 5 is positive. The 1 ribby is positive also. Granted, he had to make up 4 ribbies heading into the game. So we're not going to check in specifically on the standings. We've won the division now. Want to have a little bit of mystery as we sim through the next couple days. At the end of the Minnesota series, we will check in and see where Vasquez ranks compared to the other players that he's chasing after, but we're not going to scoreboard watch too much. We know that he's got to go out and get some hits and drive in some runs. 6-3 win for the Royals today, and Vasquez 1 for 3 with another ribby. So he's 3 for 7 with 2 runs batted in over the last 2 games, so he's helping his batting average. Did hit his 50th home run of the season, which is positive. I don't know if he's going to be able to close the gap on ribbies. We really need one of these games where he's got 4 or 5 runs batted in. A nice grand slam would be pretty helpful here in Game 3 of the series against Minnesota, but he's getting hits and he's driving in runs, and he hit a home run. Not that we have any concern that he won't lead the league in homers at this point, but kind of nice to get to that nice round number of 50. And waiting for the final game of the series here against the Twins to simulate. Don't really understand why it's taking so long. Maybe it means we scored a lot of runs. 7-6 win. And what did Alex Vasquez do? 3 for 5 with 2 runs driven in. Didn't get a home run, but 4 runs driven in the series, and I think he ended up 5 for 12 with a home run. So he definitely helped his batting average. Definitely got enough runs batted in to get back into a tie, assuming that the Boston player didn't drive in any runs, which certainly is probably unlikely over 3 games. Let's take a look. Luis Baez continued to drive in runs, even though Vasquez has been driving in runs. He's still 4 ribbies behind Baez, up 10 on Sweeney in home runs. And Vasquez has the batting average up to 323, but he's still 7 points behind Lisenby, and he's also got to get by his teammate LeBron as well as Ramon Morales to get to the batting title. So Going to be an interesting season. Looking back at Vasquez's career, he won a batting title and led the league in runs batted in his first full year in the majors. Led the league in ribbies in his second season also. Hasn't led the league in any major categories for the last 5 years at this point, so he's certainly going to lead the league for the first time in his career in home runs this season. Going to lead the league in OPS for a second time. I would have to think with that 192 OPS plus and WRC plus, that's going to be league leading figures. Question is whether he can come back in ribbies and or batting average and lead the league in those categories. He's only got 6 games left. Royals have clinched the division. We've clinched the best record in the American League. And with that sweep of the Twins, I didn't notice. We're actually a game up now on the Diamondbacks for the best record in baseball, a game away from 100 wins. Other league leaders, Santiago Suarez is now second in the league in saves, and Caleb Lagerwell remains third in the league in ERA, 12-6 with a 3.06 ERA here as a 35-year-old. So Lagerwell continues to be a very productive player for the Royals. And the Royals headed on the road now for the last 6 games of the regular season, 3 at Detroit and then 3 at the Twins. We'll see what Vasquez and the rest of the team can do today against the Detroit Tigers. 10-5 win, so potential for some runs. What did Vasquez do? Only 1 for 4, but he did drive in a run. So batting average still at 323. We're going to need a big 4 or 5 ribby game for him to have any chance of taking the lead back in ribbies, and we probably need a 3 or 4 hit game for him to have any chance of passing all the guys that he needs to pass to win the batting title. But the Royals are playing well here down the stretch, stringing some wins together, and Vasquez is getting hits and driving in runs in every game. He's certainly putting on a good show. We have a retirement. We did finally lose 7-3, and Vasquez 0 for 3. Not an optimal game, but there's still time. He's close enough in both categories that one monster game and he could be leading the league in all 3 of those categories. The longer it takes, the bigger of a monster game he's going to need to get by there. Would certainly like to see a 13-5 Royals victory one of these days with a big game from Vasquez. Got another win, 5-2. Vasquez 2 for 4, which helps in the batting race, but no runs driven in. So only 3 games to go now. Player of the week, Javi Medina. We've been going game by game and watching what Vasquez is doing, but not really paying attention to Medina, who was 10 for 21 with 4 homers and 9 ribbies. 267 batting average this year, 25 homers, 96 ribbies. So would like to see him get to 100 ribbies if he can. Taking a look at those standings, 101 and 58. So our magic number is 1 to clinch the best record in baseball over the Diamondbacks at this point. Vasquez, he's still got a chance. He's going to lead the league in home runs. He's only 3 ribbies behind Luis Baez at this point. And the batting average is 322, so still only 8 points behind Lisenby, 6 points behind his teammate LeBron, and then 3 points behind Morales. He's going to need a monster game with a bunch of ribbies and a bunch of hits, but he's got a chance here these final 3 games of the season to still win the Triple Crown. So 3 games left in the regular season, just kind of hoping to avoid injuries with the team. Flores, his return is still uncertain. Laziosi out for another 5 weeks. Obviously, Borgman, Rocker, and Juan Munoz all out for the year. So just want to hope that we're healthy these last 3 days of the regular season. And we also want Alex Vasquez to go about 7 for 11 with 9 runs batted in. If he were to do that, that would be pretty helpful also. So we move up to Minnesota for the final 3 games of this regular season. 6-9 loss. I guess the only benefit is we could have gotten some ribbies from Alex Vasquez in that type of game, and he did have a good game. Wow, 2 for 4, 3 runs batted in, double, his 51st home run of the year. Let's see where he stands. Wow, he's in a flat-footed tie for the league lead in ribbies now with Luis Baez. Obviously going to lead the league in home runs. His average is 324, so he's 6 points behind. He really needs a 4-hit game to get to the batting title, which isn't going to be easy, but he's making a run at it, that's for sure. Second to last game of the year. Ooh, Kyle Smith with a day-to-day injury for 5 days. And another loss for us, 6-8. Before we go to the box score, we're going to make you wait. And I don't know the answer either because I'm doing this all live. I just want to go to the injured list. Kyle Smith, day-to-day, sprained ankle for 5 days. We are just going to bench him for the next 3, which will certainly take him through the regular season since we only have 1 game left. Chris Rutledge pulled abdominal muscle for 4 days. Also going to make sure that he is benched. Obviously, we've got a first-round bye, so it doesn't matter that we're benching these guys. So neither of them is going to pitch the last day of the year. Let's see what Alex Vasquez did. Wow, 3 for 4 with a couple ribbies. He is trying to win this Triple Crown. Batting average up to 327. We'll see what everybody else did. Another double and another home run for Vasquez. So with 1 game left, he's up 2 in the race to lead the league in ribbies. He's up 9 in home runs, and he's literally 1 point behind Lisenby and his teammate LeBron for the batting title. So Alex Vasquez has a chance on the final day of the season tomorrow to win a Triple Crown. Now we're going to be rooting against his exceptional rookie teammate Jorge LeBron from getting any hits, but a very good chance that Kansas City Royal will win the batting title this year. Question is whether it'll be LeBron as a rookie or Vasquez is part of a potential Triple Crown. This is going to be crazy. 1 game left to go. And let's see what happens. A 6-5 win in 14 innings, which means there were a lot of at-bats. Let's take a look. And it does not look like he played Vasquez. LeBron was 2 for 6, so he's going to have ended up ahead of him because he finished at 328. Looks like either Vasquez was probably was just tired. I think I do have him. I didn't check it, and I don't know what I would have done. I certainly would have played him going for the Triple Crown. But let's take a look. Ended up leading in ribbies ended up leading in home runs, and ended up losing the batting title by just a point. Let me see. Yeah, I had him to be benched if he was below 90%. So I'm guessing I didn't pay attention and I didn't see it. I'm guessing he was just a little bit worn out. So loses out on a triple crown by 1 point. I mean, quite honestly, with LeBron having gone 2 for 6, it was going to be hard for Vasquez to get by him anyways. But would have loved if he had the opportunity to do it. But I guess it wasn't our primary goal, right? Our primary goal is to try to win a 4th consecutive championship with these Royals. And we've won the AL Central for the 11th time in the past 12 seasons. We've got home field advantage throughout the playoffs. And taking a look at our roster, other than Rutledge and Smith, who we've sat the last couple days, everybody looks healthy. Flores' return is still uncertain. Laziosi probably lost for the playoffs. You know, I guess there's a chance maybe we have him back for the World Series if we make it that far. But it's been a big year for the Royals. You know, I wish I had looked at things closer and started Vasquez into the lineup to at least give him a chance to go out and play for it. But by the same token, the 90% that I have on him where he gets a rest, you know, there's also the situation where, you know, would I have pushed him a step too far and ended up getting him hurt on the last day of the season? There's a possibility. You can see still a brilliant year for him. 327 batting average, obviously third in the AL, a point behind the two guys who tied for first. 52 homers, led the league. 129 ribbies, led the league. Led the league in slugging, OPS, and WRC plus, 7.6 WAR, which I believe is a career high for him. Yep. So Alex Vasquez at the age of 30 has had a pretty exceptional career for us so far. 300 career winner. Closing in next season, he'll probably hit his 300th homer, and next season he'll, if he's healthy, get his 1,000th run batted in. So he is having a Hall of Fame caliber type career thus far, but misses out just by the tiniest of margins on winning the Triple Crown here in 2037. Taking a look at the team stats for the Royals, ended up second in the American League in runs scored and ended up first in runs allowed. So a pretty high-powered season for the Royals. You can see we had a winning record in every month. Even in our worst month of the season in June, Royals were 3 games above 500. So it's been a great regular season for the Royals here in 2037. And we are going to find out how the quest for a 4th consecutive World Series championship goes in our next episode. Until then, thanks so much for watching and hope you have a great day.